Hello, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this program. This is 7 o'clock Nigerian time. And on today's program, we have a guest who is Professor Clavis Johnson. We are going to talk about the price for falsehood. Falsehood comes with, a huge price that people will pay for generations to come if the falsehood is not corrected. So today we are going to talk about the falsehood in Nigeria, the price we are paying for this falsehood. We are paying, huge price because Nigeria is living based on falsehood right from the creation up to now. And when you look at this country, you will see that the rate of insecurity in this country, how insecurity is ravaging the country from the north to the south, from the east to the west, nobody feels pain about it any longer. People are now used to it. People have been psycho-conditioned to believing that this falsehood is something that is normal, that people should live. But we are here to tell you that it's not normal. And that is why you are seeing agitation in Nigeria from the east to west, north to south. People don't want to stay in this contraption anymore because the price of falsehood is huge. And you know what? No matter what you do, no matter what you say, falsehood can never last forever. People who are benefiting from falsehood, they might be pushing the narrative that it's okay, let's be doing it because they are benefiting from it. And the following year, you will see that it will hit back to them. Right from the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914 to the independence, forced independence to say, I'm sorry, because that is forced independence. Nigeria is not independent. Nigeria is still dependent on Britain. They are still dependent on the West. They are still dependent on IMF. They are still dependent on the World Bank. Just imagine the IMF representative last week came to Nigeria to tell Nigerians that they still have 15 years to suffer in the economic woe before they will begin to see the light. Tell me, meaning these people already have plans on how Nigeria is going to suffer. Look at our nation, look at our continent. Is it the dream of our forefathers or the dream of the present youth to have a nation like this? And that is why we have Professor Clavis Johnson, the author of Afro-Democracy, the New African Order. In this program today, we are going to discuss, elucidate, and expatiate all this falsehood we have been living in. And the worst thing about the falsehood is that people who are living in falsehood don't know that they are living in falsehood, because I call it evil adaptation. People have been adapted to evil things. They think that, oh, that is the way things are. But we are here to tell you that this is falsehood and we are paying the price. Good evening, Mr. Clavis. Thanks for joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure.
We are happy to have you this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you can be more audible so that the volume will be equal.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You
are the author of Afro-Democracy, the New African Order. Your book is trending, especially that, the Afro-Democracy, the New African Order. And that book exposed a lot of falsehood in Africa and Nigeria as the context. And I'm going to ask you so many questions. What are the falsehoods about African continent and Nigeria, to be precise, because the price of falsehood we are paying is huge. People no longer go to farm. People are dying every day. People are in abject poverty, like in Nigeria, in that where we have crude oil, we have tin, we have gold, we have everything. People are still, suffering. And I see all these things as falsehood. We are paying the price for falsehood. You have the mic. Talk to us. What do you have to say about the falsehood we are living in?
Mr. Okocha, whenever my face it's appear on a screen, whether in a live session like this one here, people should just read from my forehead that I'm against democracy, I'm against the republic, I'm against the constitution of the republic, I'm against this Republican citizenship. They keep telling us that here is a Nigerian because he's from the Republic of Nigeria. Here is the Congolese because he's from the Republic of Congo, Democratic
Of
Republic of
Congo.
Congo. Here is a South African because from the Republic, from the South African Republic whatsoever. Those are the major falsehoods we can talk about here that is being in our mind. That's why sometimes when we come with ideas that we have to implement the new African order, as we just said here, that people are now used to what was told to them falsely, and they believe that when you come with new ideas, then you are out of the way. What is that to come and tell us that democracy is a lie? I keep saying, democracy is another name of colonialism. It's just that the timing has changed and the ways of operations as well has changed. But democracy is equal to colonialism when it comes to the African context. So that is a major falsehood we have to talk about right here, because for every young man today in Africa, if it's not about democracy, then what else can you tell them? They'll be calling for a regime change, but who told them that a regime change is the hope of the people? That is also a falsity we have to take out of their mind right there, Mr. Okocha. There's just a lot to talk about.
All right, Mr. Clavis, you talk about you not believing in democracy. Why do you not believe in Africa, with the democracy that Africans are practicing, that they borrow from the West, especially in Nigeria?
Mr. Okocha, it's so easy to get it. There are many arguments that we can bring here and then demonstrate that democracy is a lie to us. Well, when we talk about democracy as the power of the people are the people. So if these people in Nigeria, if these people in the Republic Democratic of Congo or in Sudan, wherever we have wars, if they really have the power as democracy defines, so why are they not able to decide on the future of their own country? They have to do it through protest. They have to do it by means of, pushing harder just to get their voices heard. So if
we have to get
power,
you well.
let's just say the president.
You are hitting up the polity. You are hitting up the polity. We have to get what you say. If we have democracy in Africa or in Nigeria, why is it that we have to get what we want through protest, through agitation, through all these things? That is a very huge question that needed answer.
And
I think
other
people,
part,
I can hear you.
The other part of this falsehood you're talking about is that we believe in change through referendums. Mr. Okocha, last time I spoke about the second book I've written, Theories of Tribalism, if you allow me to say something, Theories of Tribalism. And in that context as well, even in the Afro-democracy here, I am talking about the context whereby the moment we go for a referendum or we go on voting, just know that those in power, those who are telling lies or falsities to us, have already put all the conditions together for them to win the elections. Don't understand that? So they will never organize the elections if they realize that this time here, the voice of the people is going to win over our will to keep them poor. So they will never organize the election that way. That is the fate of referendums. When you call for referendums, there are no ways that they can just accept it, because here they can see like people are self-determined. They want to change things around. So the moment people display that feeling, the government is not free to organize any referendum around that because it is not in their favor. So here I stand and I keep repeating myself that if really it was in favor of us, the people, why is it that when we call for a referendum, the government doesn't listen to us, but we are the ones, so-called people who elected them there. So when we call for a referendum because we want to express ourselves, the government will never listen to us. But when it comes to that general elections where they have to vote, okay, not even to vote, sorry, where they have to nominate, to promote the face of Nigeria, such a person will be making things for them like a facilitator towards looting, then you will see the funds coming out to organize the general elections, even where there's no security. They'll be sending agents over there to organize elections. But after that, then they will just forget about those people. They will leave them alone, forget about them, abandon them, facing insecurity. So why is it like that? We go for voting just in a way to show the world that there's a sort of democracy going on in that country. But deep inside, there's no democracy. That we have to put it clear to our mind. We have to put it clean in our mind.
All right. All right. Mr. Clavis, in your book, The Afro Democracy, there is something you hinted about tribalism, and you are still writing a book about the theories of tribalism. There is something that the Britain did in Nigeria. Nigeria was to have their first independence in 1954. It did not happen till 1960s. Now, the reason why it did not happen is because Britain told the northern Nigerians that, look at, you people are not educated like the Southerners. If you have the independence now, the Southerners are going to dominate you people. So we are going to give you people some few years so that you people will step up your game, so that you will not allow the Southerners to rule over you. And that is the same battle Nigeria is fighting today. The battle of supremacy. Who is greater than who? Who is more populated than who? Who will rule who? So that thing is like, these people calculated the destiny of these people, and they try to plant confusion among them. And that is what is happening today. What do you have to say about that?
That is what I call the country system. The country system, this issue of supremacy whatsoever, it's also happening in Congo. It's also happening in Sudan. It's also about to happen in Mozambique. It's happening in many African countries, whereby people from outside, they will choose a region, a site, they will choose an ethnicity, you know, this kind of a tribe that they will be hiding behind because they believe that those people are easily manipulable. Then they will come out and then to start, you know, pushing them, you know, feel like you are greater than other group of people, and then we'll give you any kind of support. But in case you start violating human rights, then we will close our eyes. We won't call it out, in this international media stream, so that, you know, we'll not damage your reputation. But do whatsoever possible, we'll be behind you. That is what I call the counter system. You know, the people from outside, external forces, selecting a certain tribe, selecting a certain region that will believe like these are the people who can easily get any orders, any instructions from us against a certain group they believe to be hostile. But how hostile? Just because they're educated. How hostile? Just because they know how to defend their interests. That is where we become hostile towards a certain group of people who are not even black like us, who are not even from Africa, who want us to be Democrat while they're coming after us, acting anti-Democrat. So we don't know how can we go on with this. But when I stand on my way, I believe that the longer we defend what was imposed on us, the longer as well we'll suffer. Why are we defending democracy while democracy is not working for us? We don't need that, because democracy needs people to be common. And when they come to us and say that you guys, you are less better than this other group here, that shows already some kind of, phenomenon that we are not common at all. So if that is already sitting in our mind, which means we cannot be a democratic country. There is no way Nigeria can be a democratic country. If there is a group that's being backed by people from outside to act against the people from the south, from that hypothesis that you just put here, there is no way you can achieve democracy in Nigeria. There's no way.
Let us dig deep. I'm going to put you in a corner that is very dangerous right now. And
let's go for that.
I want you to just take a look at this.
If you look at the personal law, it only encompasses marriage, divorce, and the inheritance. Therefore, what I'm requiring is the removal of the removal of personal in section 24 of the Constitution, section 262, section 277, and section 288, so that other relevant laws, like the public, the commercial law, Islamic commercial law, the Islamic company law, the Islamic internet.
Now, you might not understand that, but I want to explain it to you.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
There is tension as I speak to you in Nigeria. That man you are listening to, in Nigeria, we believe Nigeria to be a secular state like South Africa, where every religion, every culture, everybody is allowed to practice what you believe and live the way of your life. But in Nigeria, in Nigerian constitution, we have Sharia law. In Nigerian constitution, we have Sharia court, we have Sharia police. All these things are enshrined in Nigerian constitution. And people are asking, is Nigeria still a secular state? What about the Christians? Christians don't have the canon law or the ecclesial law. What about the Jewish? We have so many Jews in Nigeria. They don't have the Jewish law. What about the traditional people, the original people, the religion of our forefathers? They don't have the laws. So what this man is saying now, but in Nigerian constitution to say that Sharia law is termed personal. So it is not compulsory that everybody must practice Sharia law. But what this man is trying to do, he's trying to bring a bill that that personal will no longer be there. It will be generalized. Automatically, that will lead Nigeria to become a Sharia state, like Pakistan, like Qatar. You understand? So that thing caused a lot of commotion in the House of Representatives. Now, you are talking about that people should live the way of their life. And I was talking to one of my Muslim brothers yesterday. I said, I can go to Pakistan for holidays. I will enjoy and come back. Go to Qatar, enjoy and come back. But I can't live there forever because of their way of their life. I love them. So if these people who are trying to impose this thing on us, is it not important that we say, we can do business together? I'm sorry for the network interruption. I don't really know. So that is what we are trying to do. Because if we do not oppose this, these people are trying to bring their way of their life into us. And that is not the way of our life. Don't you think that the separation of ethnic nationalities to allow each, their tribe, allow their culture to rule them, allow the way of their life to rule them, I love it in that way. But how do we now call for the separation of all these entities? Because this is going to bring war, this is going to bring fight. And that is the way they were before the amalgamation of 1914. And that is why I was saying that we are living in falsehood. These people have the way of their life. The Easterners have the way of their life. The South have the way of their life. Now, the Britain came, they amalgamated everybody. And they said we should live together. And the falsehood cannot last longer again. These people said, no, we can't be living with infidel. They called us infidel. You understand? They called us infidel. So what they are saying is that we are unbelievers. Because that is the way of your life. Don't blame them. So how do we separate?
Mr. Okocha, thanks again for this point you bring on. Now, this part of African reality you're talking about here, it's much described in this second book. I'm speaking about the theories of tribalism. It's already trending online to be released in this January here. So in this book, the subtitle is Debates, Controversies, and Afro-Democracy. So when I'm talking about the controversies, it's part of this point here you're raising. So we're talking about different people being grouped in a same so-called country and expecting them to come along. So how is that possible? How is that possible? I keep asking myself that question. There is no way we can make it, because here is different kind of religions influencing our societies. Here is different type of political beliefs influencing our ways of life. Here is this belonging, these feelings of belonging to a certain ethnicity, to a certain tribes, also defining our future. So there's no way we can come up and claim to be Nigerian, which means as we come up as Nigerian, we have a common belief. We believe in the Republic of Nigeria as the Nigerian citizen, which is wrong. We pretend. The last time I even tried to bring it up by saying, like, if you meet your African brother from Nigeria, you meet abroad, it will be like, okay, man, where are you from? He was saying like, okay, I'm from Nigeria, but he won't stop there. He'll be saying, okay, from Nigeria, but which part of Nigeria? Okay, from the south. Okay, from the south, which, you know, there will be a question after another, just because he can't find himself by simply listening that you are from Nigeria or we are from Nigeria. Why? Because that is not his true identity right there. So in the theories of tribalism, even the publisher is saying that that is the book whereby I'm recalling the identity of a black man. So if we want a better future for ourselves, we first have to redefine our identity, because we've been living in falsehood, like, okay, here is a Nigerian, here is a South African, here is a Congolese. But how is that possible? Because when we look around, that Nigeria as such, as a country, does not exist. The last time I said it is just the colonist dream. There is this colonist here who dreamed about that land, the land of his opportunities, not for your opportunities, not for my opportunities as a black man, as an African, but the land of his opportunities. He dreamed about that and called it Nigeria. Then what about the people there? Oh, let's call them Nigerians. You know, they're part of my dream, but, you know, part of my dream, but not owners of that dream. So we can do with them whatsoever we want. And that is exactly what they are doing. You just say in the introduction here that, was it the World Bank representative who came here and said that you will still suffer over 50 years? But I believe that it's been more. 50 years is it's nothing. We can still suffer more than 50 years if we carry on defending what is false towards us and towards our reality as Africans. We are not republics. We are not Democrats. We are not Republicans. We are here to define who we are in order to us to find the right direction of our future. So
Professor
in order
Clavis.
to break down, to answer a question, in order to break down that to separate this situation we're finding ourselves in, Mr. Okocha, we don't have to go far with this matter, because you're saying that it will bring war. It will be no. It will bring war simply because we are evolving around the common interest. We are evolving around the common interest, and that common interest to all of us is power, is the central power. That is where we'll talk about war, because if today we want to separate the South, the North, all these different states to go on their own, so who will be leading us? And the person who will be leading us will be coming from which state? And will other state accept someone coming from the farthest state to lead the entire country? I don't think so. That is where we start having conflict. This state here will need a general of the army from that state to go and attack that general over there, and this one as well will conspire another against another. Then we will end up, you know, having these civil wars and so on. So the war we're talking about will be around the center of interest, which is power. And why do we have this power as the center of interest in our countries? They took the power from a certain king, from a certain kingdom in the far east, in the far east, in the far north, in the far west, and then they put all of them together and created a presidency. Who did that? Is the colonist. For what? For easy control. And when he left, due to falsehood coming through independence, who did he leave behind? A certain president. But what is the mandate of that president? Is to carry on what he was doing, because it is easy for him to control Nigeria. So just by controlling one person, a country, I keep saying, by putting one person under control, the so-called president of the republic, a country of millions of people is under control. How is that possible? The person who thought about the republic was too smart. I'm saying he was too smart to do that. That all those Africans, we just have to put them within a system, and on top of that system, one man that we can control. And if we can control him to maintain that system over them, then we'll be controlling about 200 million people, just so easy like that. So it's up to us. If we want to carry on like that and remain controlled, by being controlled is facing hardship, facing insecurity, facing terrorism. If we want it that way, then we should keep on defending what they call all these kind of government institutions in our countries. But if we really wanting to be free from that, this is the right time then to start calling about change. But how can you do that? Oh, Mr. Okocha, Allow me to say that. I'm writing on this book. I've called it Defense Code 3.11.3. Defense Code 3.11.3. As we're speaking now, I'm writing on that book. And that book is for African soldiers. Those guys are sleeping. I'm writing that book for them. Those guys are sleeping.
What is
if
the purpose
we
of
go to war, it will come through them. And if we'll be doing a peaceful transition, it will also depend on them. So what is the problem with our soldiers? Here are the people protesting in Nigeria. So where are those soldiers? They say that they are public forces. They are the forces of the public. So here are the public, here is the public crying. Where are the forces that are supposed to give them that support as public forces? Where are they? Those people are sleeping. There is this book, Mr. Okocha, Defense Code 3.11.3. As time goes on, we'll discuss about that. I'm writing that book. I'm already halfway, and that is especially for soldiers, military, African military. That's it, Mr. Okocha.
All right, Mr. Clavis, you never cease to amaze me. The way you explain, this falsehood that we are going through, but I still have another angle I am pushing you to. Now that the colonists, they just need one man who is the president to control the whole nation. Like in Nigeria, once Tinubu have agreement with the Westerners, the only thing they have to do is to implement it. They don't ask the common man. Sometimes the House of Rep, the House of Senate, the legislatures, who are supposed to be controlling the executive, are no longer doing their job. They are rubber stamp. So anything the president says, they are going to do. So what are we going to do in this manner?
Well, Mr. Okocha, as I am talking, as I put it there, Afro-democracy, the new African order. We're talking about the new African order. Oh my, it's like preaching, it's like preaching. It's like a pastor in the church preaching about it. So let's do that. We're talking about the new African order. Let me try to touch it for the people who did not read my book until now. We're talking about an order. The reality, African reality today, it's about an order. And that order, a colonial order that was imposed on us. Look, we must understand the narrative of the enemy. The enemy will come with a certain order. How do they call it? Constitutional order. You must listen to them in the news. Constitutional order. And that constitutional order goes with the republic. And they make it possible by force or by fire for that order to stand in our countries. When Ibrahim Traore, came to power through a coup, they say, okay, that country must go back to the constitutional order. What is it they're trying to mean by order? Because that is the way of driving out an ideology, of implementing it. And as time goes by, that ideology must end up serving the ideologue, the person who thought about it. So here they come with an order of constitution, shortly called as constitutional order. But who's that constitutional order serving actually? Is it serving me and you as black men? No. The constitutional order is serving the ideologue. I mean, as an ideology, that constitutional order, it is serving the ideologue behind that. Now, as we look at what is going on again in the news today, they're talking about the new world order, the new world order. But what is it, that word order, coming after? Because an order, within it, there is power. And that power is implemented by means of a force. And what I'm talking about, the force, is not just any kind of spiritual force. Yeah, there's also spirituality behind, but we're talking about military might. Military might. When we go there, we impose that. When the white men came to Africa during colonialism, they brought that order, colonial order. And when you look at those settlers, they were not regular people. Most of them got military training behind. Most of them got military training when they came to colonize us. So we are talking about an order here, the new African order. It is up to us to implement this order in our countries. So this order here is close to us black people. It is in line with our tradition. It is rooted into our cultures. So if we want to implement it, we need a certain might, Mr. Okocha. And that might is the military might. Now, what is happening to our military might? It is close to the presidency. It is captured just as the presidency is. That is where we're facing trouble. But it's not that trouble as such, Mr. Okocha. As long as we can find a way out, there's still a solution.
All right. Mr. Clavis, now let me take you to the issue of Biafra agitation. Yeah. Now, before you go down, there is a concept I want you to understand. Take a listen to this video.
That is why they're paying Facebook billions upon billions of US dollars to stop this truth from coming out. Did Ojukwu cause any war? Go on is alive, go and ask him. Did Ojukwu cause any war? Ojukwu went and negotiated restructuring with you in Aburi. You came back, Britain told you not to agree because Britain realized that all the component units of Britain knows that if you go back to regionalism, you will have economic growth. The country will do very well. But Britain doesn't want it. That was why they even instigated the Nzogwu, so-called Nzogwu, saying they will bring Awolowo to become the head of state. They knew what was going to happen. They wanted to truncate the economic miracle of Dr. Michael. But what I'm telling you are fast. Go and investigate for yourself. In the East, you had the fastest growing economy in the whole world, over 40% every year. In the West, Awolowo was performing his own miracle as well. Even in the North, Ahmadu Bello and Tafawa Balewa were doing very well. You had all those massive industries in the North. You even had Alamajiris that were employed in the North, meaningfully employed, gainfully employed. They were all doing very well. Britain said, no, for us to control these people, we need to impoverish them. Let us introduce this war. There was a coup by Nzogwu. And after that, there was the massacre of, as usual, massacre of our people in the North. Ojukwu said, I have to secure my land and my people. They said, no, let's go to Aburi to discuss it. Ojukwu went to Aburi and agreed restructuring. That's something now you're asking for, to tell you how foolish Nigerians are. They're very foolish. That same nonsense you're asking for now was discussed many years ago. Ojukwu sat down in Aburi with Gowon and decided that regionalism was the best way forward, restructuring, going back to who you were, 1963 Constitution, 1960-1963 Constitution. Be on your own and pay tax to the central government, as they have in America, as they have even in Britain. Britain, you have Scotland that is almost independent, Wales, the same thing, everybody is free, but Britain doesn't want the same thing they're enjoying to happen in Nigeria. Why? Ask yourself that question. Anybody telling you about one Nigeria is your enemy? I'll prove it to you now.
Oh my.
Mr. Clavis.
Yeah.
Now, there is a purpose why I played this video for you. Yeah, that is Brother Kanu, as you used to call him. He is Master Nnamdi Kanu. Now, Nnamdi Kanu is trying to bring us back to the memory day that, look at, Britain was the one that caused all these things we are seeing, because when the problem was ravaging in Nigeria before, Ojukwu, the people from the east, west, north, south, they had a meeting in a neutral ground, Aburi town in Ghana. They traveled from Nigeria to Ghana because nobody agreed to come to each other's vicinity. For you to understand the conflict they had then. Now, they went to Aburi town in Ghana. They had an accord, and the accord is called Aburi Accord. You can Google it. The accord is that your military should be restricted to your region, serve your people. Your police should serve your people. Then, who will pay taxes to the central government? The whole resources you serve your people, the whole military you have, let it serve your people, the whole police you have, let it serve your people. All your resources, your oil, your gold, your lithium, everything you have, let it serve your own people. Then you will pay taxes to the federal government. That was what was contained in the Aburi Accord. So when after Ojukwu have signed this agreement, the Britain asked him with some elements in Nigeria, they asked him not to honor the agreement. That was where the problem started and led to military coup. Military now took over. When the military took over, they say it was Easterners that carried out the military coup. It becomes tribal something. They started the massacre of the Easterners. So all those things led to Ojukwu saying, no, we have our own Biafra. He declared the Biafra and the war started. Now, as I speak to you today, you know what is going on about the Biafra agitation.
Yeah.
Since 1950-something, 60-something, up to today, the agitation is still on. For you to understand that the falsehood is the one that is causing all this. We are living in falsehood because you cannot deny the real thing. Now, because you are talking about that code, that book you are writing, what is it called again? Defense Code 303, right?
311.3. I'll just try to highlight. Yeah. Go on, Mr. Okocha.
Okay, Defense Code 303. Because as I speak to you now, the Biafra agitation, some of them have taken it to another level. They are defending their territory. If Nigeria military bring war, they match them. You know, violence to violence, they match them force to force. So when you look at all these things you said, who caused it? It's not the people who are resisting Nigeria now. It's not the people who are standing up against the military now. It's not the people who are fighting for their territory now. It was the Britain with the Gowon, people who amalgamated us, who refused for us to go into region. You just listen to what Nnamdi Kanu said now. What do you have to say about that?
Well, Mr. Okocha, as we were speaking about the order here, so there's an order that was imposed in Nigeria that needs to be maintained, and that order can only be maintained through the presidency. That's why I keep saying the presidency is not for the people, it's against the people, the presidency. I stand against that we must close the presidencies in all Black African countries. Now, why the coup started right away, why the coup happened, or the civil war started right away when the people did not agree with them? Simply because when you want to impose an order on the people, you must do it by means of force. I'm talking about military force. So here we are, Mr. Okocha, in this situation. We calling about change in our countries. First of all, if we want to do it, it's not through elections, it's not through voting, it is through coup d'etat. I'm saying that openly. And it's for that reason I'm writing the Defense Code 311.3. That book will come out. I'm already halfway writing that because, you know, I'm Africa, we Africans, so what else can we think about if it's not Africa, beside the fact that we professionals, we have other duties? Well, now, in this situation here, Mr. Okocha, for us Africans, we cannot make it easily as long we are still standing within a system that is also called a colonial order here. When we decide otherwise, when we decide against the colonial order that's been imposed on us, we face trouble. And when we face that trouble, we have no one to hold accountable first on that. So here they'll be killing us, here they'll be coming after us, but the person who's supposed to prosecute those killers, those people killing innocent civilians, are the ones actually who want to maintain that order over us. So it's up to us now to understand that we've been living in a falsity. We are fake. I can say that us as Africans. We are fake. Even by carrying a passport that's been issued by the passport office of immigration whatsoever, it's still an original document of the Republic of Nigeria. It's still fake. This is the time for us to start understanding that we are fake as people. So if we want to be true to ourselves, it is time to defend our identity as time goes on and starting from now. So here is my concern, Mr. Okocha. For how long we can go on with this issue of Biafra? For how long we can go on with this protest? For how long? Our forefathers been there. Our fathers been there. We are there. Our children as well. So it is what we call like a repetition of the same thing over and over and without achieving sound results. I'm saying that. The last time when they were protesting there, I told you that during our interviews. I say, I am sorry to my African brothers in Nigeria. I said it, I'm trying to repeat what I said that day, that this protest here will not achieve something meaningful. Why? Because first of all, there was no support of the army. And also, by protesting, we are protesting against the people who want Biafra to suffer. We are protesting against the mighty people who want Biafra to be part of the Republic of Nigeria. They will not just let Biafra go so easily. The leader will try to rise, calling for that secession. We end up facing trouble. Now, what can you do in order to get this through, Mr. Okocha? First of all, we know who the enemy is. You can point Britain, but I will point out the political system in our country. The political system in our country, that is our first enemy. And who's making that enemy stronger? Who's making that enemy stronger? It is me and you, Mr. Okocha. It is me and you making that enemy stronger.
Okay.
Yeah. It is me and you making the enemy stronger because we are still not ready to accept our true identity. The moment you'll be standing there calling for a new president, calling for Brother Tinubu to step down, for a new leader to come, but who told us that the leader who will come after Mr. Tinubu will do better in Nigeria? Who told us that? So by doing those kind of things, we are making that system stronger than ever. We are calling for change in the wrong way. We are fighting the right battle, I can say, but in the wrong way. So we are making the system stronger. We are building up a monster against ourselves. Because here, there was a leader before Brother Tinubu. We could call that leader our names, I believe. Now he's gone. Brother Tinubu came in. I believe that people are even saying, like, perhaps the one was there before Brother Tinubu was better than Tinubu. Some people perhaps might be saying that. So what are we trying to achieve in these ways of calling for transformative change in our countries? What can we try to achieve in that?
Okay.
We need better ways in fighting for freedom. We need better ways, Mr. Okocha. So we can point Britain, well, we can point the West, we can point it out. But at the bottom of that, our first enemy, Mr. Okocha, is the political system in our country. That is our enemy. The system is trapping us. We are screwed. We are screwed down. It's because of the political system, Mr. Okocha.
All right, Mr. Clavis,
we don't need a presidency. We have to close the presidencies of our country. I keep saying that. I'll be here, I'll be gone, but as long as the presidency will still be there in Nigeria and in our countries in Africa, we'll be suffering, no matter what. We'll be suffering. That's it. We'll be suffering.
Anyway, it's so unfortunate that, some truths are very hard to swallow. A lot of people find it difficult to understand the truth behind all these things you are saying. But, it is time for us to face the reality. It is time for us to face it as it is. We are talking about the price for falsehood. We have been living in falsehood. We have been living all our lives, and let me just term it as fake life, fake country, fake government, fake system, and that is why we are dying. We are dying like chickens. And nothing seems to be happening. There is no hope for common man in Nigeria. There is no hope for common man in Africa. And you people think that it will continue to be like this? No. And that is why, for me, I support various agitation who wants their own separate country, who don't want to rule their country like the system we have in Nigeria. Because if anyone is agitating, and after seeing the system that is bondaging us, and you're agitating to have your own country, to rule your country like the same system who is bondaging you, I think there is no need for such secession. So I am in support of every secession that we go back, that we take the people back to their root, to the way they were, like what Nnamdi Kanu was just saying then. So that is the idea, and that is the future. And I'm here telling Odoa is your future. People from the north, Arewa is your future. People from the east, Biafra is your future, because that is where you come from. That is your origin, not Nigeria. Nigeria is not.
So if Mr. Okocha, yeah, there is an network. Oh my goodness. I hope Mr. Okocha is on the other side listening to me. Seems like the network is disturbing him.